Okay, here we go. Lecture Module 10 corresponds to the textbook's Chapter 10. There's Linux Lab 10, which is virtualization. And again, if you don't have a computer, there is an alternate path, so just email me and I'll show you what you need to do there. And there is a discussion board with your virtual machine installation. For the textbook information, textbook content, I'm not going to cover the PowerPoints. I'm going to touch upon some of the concepts. It's fairly foundational, it's straightforward. There's this whole other aspect of web design the textbook does not cover. So that's actually what I'm going to present. And that's located on CISS100.com. So if you went to the lecture modules and lecture module 10, so here's the introductory page. I'm also going to cover abstract web design, user-centered web design, and I'm going to introduce the web development lifecycle. Now, we have not covered systems analysis design and the system or software development lifecycle, but the web development lifecycle really does correspond to that. And I'll talk about that in just a minute as we get there. Now, just as an introduction, I ask everyone, take a look around. What do we have? We have about half the class left. I stated this at the outset. Interestingly, right now, we have a CISS full-time faculty search going on. We have two candidates, two applicants that possess the necessary qualifications. What this should convey is how good the job market is out there for CISS right now. There are more positions open out there than there are candidates to fill them. So this bodes very well. So make sure you just finish the program and your future will be guaranteed in this area. So just take some solace in that. So here we go. Web design. You've heard me state this before. When I talk about web design, the last thing I'm talking about is pretty graphics, things like that. Layout, typography, color theory, they are important, and I'm going to talk about them in a minute. But when I talk about web design, what I'm really talking about is accessibility, W3C compliance, so coding to standards. Accessibility, can what you develop be rendered correctly in every browser on every platform? Do users have a good experience? Okay, two-way communications. And let's recall, we understand that today's web architecture is a three-tier architecture that facilitates all of this. That three-tier architecture is the database core, middle layer business logic, PHP, Java, whatever, and the web server. And this provides for information into the database as well as back out. It allows for customization and tailoring a website. And you see this, if you go on Amazon, if you go on ESPN, you're getting content that the website determines is best for you. Customization, tailorization. We also have to design for search engine optimization, SEO. What does this mean? Well, or why do we do it? No one in Armenia, Africa, Asia, wherever is typing hvcc.edu into the browser location bar. The only way people are finding me, or us, if we're not Amazon or ESPN or something of that sort, of that magnitude, is through search. So we're going to take a look at search engine optimization and what we need to do it there as well. Landing page optimization. Well, when users hit your website, you want them to stay. You better convey to them clear value, privacy statements, things of this sort. Note that a landing page isn't necessarily your home page, because through search, they could arrive at any page within your web architecture, and you need to keep them. And I'm going to show you some startling statistics. If users do not see what they need within the first, really 5 seconds, they're out of there. And with today's web, your competitor is 2 clicks away, a back click and a forward click based on the search results. And once they leave you, they're not coming back, because we all know if I go back to my search results, I see the links I've already clicked. I've already assessed. Nope, I'm not going through them. I'm choosing someone else. That could be a lost sale right there. But on that note, we have to recognize every website visit, even if it's not commerce related, is a transaction. People are going to New York Times, CNN, Fox News. They're not buying anything, but it's a transaction. They're seeking information. But if someone is coming to your website, they're giving up their time. So you better have content that changes, that's relevant, that has value to them. Because again, if your content is just static, it doesn't change whatsoever, are people going to come back repetitively? No, I've already seen that page. Okay, I'm going to look for something new. So several things we need to keep in mind. Business drives, we're going to look at this. Know your market. Develop for mobile first. And measure everything. And there are many ways we can do this. And I am not really talking about the design aspects yet, which is that user-driven, iterative, recurrent nature that is necessary for web design. So let's take a look. Business drives. What do we mean? There are things that I need to keep in mind as I develop my website. We want fast task completion. We want successful task completion. Even though I want to be very clear, I want my navigation or wayfinding, as we say in web design, to be intuitive, I also want to teach my users. It's kind of our obligation. When we get to the ACM Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct, we're going to see that as computer science professionals, it's actually our obligation to teach and inform the community. I don't want any errors. Errors make customers and people leave. I of course, don't want them to abandon shopping carts. Okay, I want to give them pleasure, satisfaction, fun. Okay, I want to increase that customer conversion rate. And on that note, on customers, it's well known, and again, we're not a business curriculum here, but it's been identified that retaining customers is more profitable than continually going out and seeking new customers. There's a greater long-term or lifetime value, LTV, and that's what we want. We want to keep our current customers. We want to grow our customers, but we definitely want to keep our current customers. We want repeat visits, of course, increased revenue. So we're going to see all of these kind of suffused throughout what we're about to discuss. How do we achieve all of these things? And also, what are the ramifications, the negative effects if we don't? And there's some startling statistics that are down the page. Now, the other thing we need to be aware of is governance. When you look at websites, web design, things like that, quite often it's governed or developed by the IT component of an organization. But when you're developing a website, who are you developing the website for? For the most part, it's your customers. It's your user base. That's marketing. And quite often there's an incongruence there between IT and marketing. Because IT, we think, what's our internal structure? And quite often that's reflected in a website, when that's not what the end user wants to see. The end user doesn't care about your HR, your accounting, your marketing departments, all of these things. They just want a nice, transparent, seamless progression to get the information they want or purchase the item they want. IT is not doing marketing research when it comes to terminology. I'll go back to search engine optimization. In education, we talk about students matriculating into a program. Has anyone here ever used the word matriculate? Right? So if it's just IT developing this website, students matriculate, think about search engine optimization. Google is crawling and indexing your website. Okay, they captured the word matriculate. But what does a prospective student want? Enroll in a program, register. So you have to understand the taxonomy, the colloquialisms of your target market, target audience. So governance is something that you might find organizations struggle with. Who has input into the website? We'll find that IT doesn't have the marketing knowledge, and quite often marketers don't have the IT knowledge. They don't understand that ontological basis of colloquialisms, how search engines work, things of this nature. And that's part of the communication that we have to improve. Second was know your market. Even marketing departments get this wrong. We're going to see in systems analysis, I'm going to introduce joint application development. We embrace this now in CIS, or hopefully embrace it. We need input from all constituencies. We need input from the outside as well. I, of course, can write an application. If I wrote an application without any outside input, it would be great for me. It'd be great for people like me, 0.0001% of the population. I would miss things that other people, other users would need. This is what we need. We need recurrent, so not just once, but iteratively. I need to go out to my prospective audiences and see what they think. What terms are they using? What are their needs and expectations? That's marketing. Marketing companies, well, I'm going to show you, sometimes don't even embrace that we embrace here in CIS. So take a look at this first one. 2002, Umbro. Umbro is a big company, big in a clothing apparel. So their marketing department is huge. They introduced a sneaker called the Zyklon, which was the name of the gas used by the Nazis to kill many people. You'd think they'd know this. But again, if it's just a marketing department, insular, in a bubble, they may not. But had they just brought in outside people, what do you think of this? We're going to call the Zyklon. I'm sure at least one of them would know, if they did their job properly, one of them would know you can't use that word, right? But they did not embrace this collaboration that is necessary for all of information systems design. An American company that makes cooking oil, marketed to Latin American countries, used a name that when translated into Spanish is jackass oil. Okay, so you're a homemaker, a cook, whatever. You're out in the supermarket and you're looking for a cooking oil. Are you buying a cooking oil called jackass oil? No. Okay, poor market understanding and research. American Motors. I don't know if anybody remembers the Matador. Tried to market this to Latin America. Okay, in Puerto Rico, Matador means killer. Okay, again, here in this country, Matador, okay, bullfighter, right? Great, But in Puerto Rico, are you going to buy a car that's known as the killer? So right there, just very poor market research. And it goes beyond. And I introduced that web design, it's not just pretty pictures. But it does contain elements. We do need to understand typography, color theory. So to give you examples, I don't know if anyone knows this. Facebook, when Facebook first launched, they did A/B analysis on typefaces, on fonts. And then what they were seeking and what they discovered, what font makes people reveal the most personal information about themselves? That is the font that Facebook currently uses. Because it's in Facebook's business plan to have people reveal as much personal information about themselves for marketing purposes. Hopefully this makes everyone question Facebook a little more. Color theory. I'm an American guy. Color means absolutely nothing to me. But I have to embrace, or at least acknowledge, that that's not true around the world. I could see a website that sells sporting goods in pink or chartreuse. I'm not going to be offended. That's not true for all cultures. When the internet first launched, so this is what, the mid to late 90s, Staples developed their website. They wanted international sales. And the way they did it is they used these white borders and backgrounds. They didn't even think anything of it. But one of their target audiences, geographies, was Japan. And the Japanese, at that point at least, revered their color theory. And white for them was the color for funerals. So at least some of their customers, prospective customers, would see the Staples website and be aghast and get out of there. So again, I have to understand my audience. I have to recognize that, what I think, there are other cultures that I may have absolutely no awareness. So going back to that accessibility, it has to be rendered properly in all browsers on all platforms, but also accessible to other cultures and populations. Mobile first. Companies are slowly getting this, and there's both the accessibility side and there's the business side. Look at some of these statistics, and these are, I think, 2 years old now. So 67% of smartphone users are more likely to buy or engage with organizations with a site, okay, or 67 are not, that is not rendered correctly, properly on a smartphone. And we're seeing the tipping point has been reached. More web accesses are taking place on a mobile device than on a desktop device. So I'll give you the business side first. If you're an organization, you recognize that I have to have a mobile accessible website. Well, your two options are develop two websites or web designs, one for a desktop, one for a mobile. And of course, with this, now you increased your complexity because I now have to discover when you access my website through JavaScript, what platform are you on? Are you on a desktop? Are you on Android, iOS? And then give you your proper web page. And we're going to see that loading times are very important. So this in itself, just the excess loading time could alienate that user. In contrast, and again, if I had two websites, I have two teams of programmers. I have one developing for desktop and one developing for iOS and Android. And I could actually be doing more tailorization or customization and having three teams, one for desktop, one for iOS, one for Android. Or do I just develop one site for mobile? Because mobile actually works. It's the least common denominator, works for all platforms. So let's take a look at something. Tell you what, if you have mobile phones with you, if you have the data plans to support this, I'm just going to ask for a couple real quick website accesses. So why don't you four, if you can you go to, on your phone, hvcc.edu. Doesn't matter. Pick any browser. Go hvcc.edu. And tell you what, you four in the middle here, can you guys go to SUNY SCCC, SUNY SCCC.edu. I tend to throw in extra C's there. So, and lastly, over here, if you guys can go to SUNYACC.edu. So SUNYACC.edu. And I'll actually pull it up here on the screen so we can look at it. SUNY SCCC. So Schenectady County Community College. So SUNY SUNYSCCC.edu. You're okay. What's that? Well, I'll pull it up here. So you guys with HVCCC, I probably threw an extra C in there. It is funny. Can you find, I want everyone to watch them. Can you guys find admissions? Watch what they do. Immediately, did you see that? This pinch and zoom hell. Okay, we've now subjected all of them into this rat's maze because if I type it in, hvcc.edu, and we take a look, we see 4 columns. This was designed for a desktop. Okay, on a desktop, and by the way, the font is still small for a desktop. So will it work for, older people who need glasses? I need glasses now. I look at this, I'm like, I have to put my glasses on. I'm out of here. Okay. So what we saw is the people on the mobile phones over here, immediately we subjected them to pinch and zoom hell. Now to find something else, what do? They, pinch and zoom hell, go back, kind of move around, move their fingers, scroll around. You are now a rat in a maze. I've made you a rat in your cell phone maze here. How do you feel about that? Okay, now the inner group here, I asked to go to SUNYSCCC.edu. And what do we have? 2 columns. Okay, so now we might see them pinch and zoom a little, or we're seeing them scroll, Okay, but turning to, we see, you know, up in landscape, you turn his phone sideways, you can actually see what you're looking for, right? Okay, so we still made him adapt, okay? Still had to turn his phone sideways. The last group I had go to SUNY acc.edu. How does this look on your phones? Pretty easy? Yeah. Developed from mobile first. How does this look on a desktop? Is this fine? Does it bother me? No. So again, develop from mobile first. It's the least common denominator. It works fine on a desktop. I am not employing two separate teams to develop a desktop website and a mobile website, and this is fine. Develop from mobile first. And we're going to see some statistics that are actually going to increase the importance of this.
So my question is, what's the difference between, because I didn't see any problem.
Well, you were looking at my desktop. If I put you on your phone, okay, if you had a phone, and you looked at hvcc.edu, you'd be expanding things, trying to scroll around, find things, shrinking things so you can go back and say, okay, maybe that kind of looks like admissions there. I can't really tell because the font is small. So you expand it. Oh, it is admissions. Close it back up, navigate there. So it's this continual, I've subjected, you're a rat in a maze, a pinch and zoom rat hell maze. Okay, now we have to, again, know our audience. So most of the website accesses are coming from mobile devices. What are mobile devices constraints? Because again, I want to provide an optimal experience for the end users. So I understand that on a cell phone, mobile device, you're going to have limited input, output, power, battery, processing, and bandwidth. With regards to the power and processing, well, I have cloud computing, so I can do a lot of the computation up in the cloud, so your device isn't working hard, consuming execute cycles to do your processing on your phone. Input, voice recognition. Output, well, again, you're on a small screen, but we're seeing that holographic phones are coming, so this will change. And then bandwidth. We do have to understand, you know, here, again, I'm developing, in this country, everybody's, you know, 4G, LTE, etc. Okay, we have a lot of bandwidth in this country. That's not true overseas. So we just have to be aware of that, or maybe in rural areas. So understand your audience. Was that? Oh yeah, you can close out of there. Yes. I wanted you to see the difference between a truly desktop presentation on your phone to a kind of acceptable hybrid, which was Schenectady, and then a full mobile version, which is ACC. Now, when it comes to, I did specify, you can do a lot of customization because, of course, we have iOS apps, Android apps, things like that. There is, in my opinion, a better approach rather than having a team of developers for Apple iOS and a team of developers for Android, because HTML is now here. HTML has JavaScript and multimedia elements built in as well as the database. So I can now design and develop agnostically for both Android and iOS. If I want it in the iOS store, I still have to write a front end to put it into the Apple store and things like this. But HTML5, I can create once rather than having two different teams of developers. And I can have a more generic approach too. Okay. Web design. Web design and customer service go hand in hand. You're informing the community. Even just properly informing the community or users about whatever it is you're doing can decrease the number of help desk calls. And recall what I said, we're going to see this again when we get to systems analysis. Help desk is pure overhead, right? I'm not selling another product. I'm now paying someone to support a product that's out there in the field. So whatever I can do to decrease my help desk costs is going to help my bottom line. When it comes to user-centered design, what do I have to know? Biographical characteristics. Think about this. how do I get someone's biographical characteristics? Of course, I can do market research, but is there a way just within the web that I can do this? Think about some sites now. You're given the option, maybe even not the option, and you sign in with your Google Plus account, your Facebook account, your Yahoo account. Has anybody seen these? Because if you sign in with your Facebook account, that company now has access to your social graph. So whatever information you've shared with Facebook, your birthday, they have your age, they have your gender, okay? They have your preferences. They have who you're friends with. So they start doing that analysis. Hey, this whole group of friends, they all like to play football. They all do this. I'm getting a nice profile, okay? Physical characteristics. And again, some of these can be inferred or statistically predicted from age. Okay, I mentioned, somewhere in my 40s, my eyesight just went downhill. I have to acknowledge that when I do my website design. If I'm designing a website for an older population, I have to acknowledge that their eyesight may not be as good as, say, younger people. Okay, intelligence, well, to some extent, you can get some of this information from Facebook, Google Plus data, right? If you have a profile, in my Google Plus profile, it's Professor James Luby, Dr. James Luby. So they're going to maybe infer that maybe I have some intelligence, maybe not, I don't know. Attitudes, same thing, Facebook. So there's a lot of information that can be obtained if you can get someone to log in through their Facebook or Google Plus account. Web metrics. Well, we measure everything. We measure everything continually. Because when we go to bed and wake up the next morning, the world has changed. And if I haven't made any changes, my competitors have either caught up or moved beyond me. It's continual. I must have continual improvement. But take a look at some of these, okay? And I'm citing Forrester Research. There are two companies out there that are notable for their research, Gartner and Forrester. And that's pretty much all they do. And it is spot on. Very, very large sample sizes. Their statistics are just in tune with what's going on. 42% of online consumers abandon transactions when they experienced roadblocks. Think about your personal behavior. I do this. Yeah, if I get a roadblock, that's it. I'm gone. And again, what am I doing in the web? Back, I hit the back button. I look at my search results and I choose the next one. Do I ever go back to that first one, which is now a red link rather than a blue because I've visited it? No, they've lost me. And what if they've lost me as a lifetime customer to where I'm going to make purchases from that company for the next 10 years? That's huge. 49% experience difficulties with online customer service. Okay? And as a result, 52 stopped doing business with that company. Now, this is actually a change. I didn't include any millennial research in this presentation, but if you look at millennial research and consumer behavior of millennials, unlike any preceding cohort or generation, they're out of there. Okay? You lose them, they will not tolerate anything. If I experience a roadblock, that's it. I'm done. You don't get my business forever. And that's huge. Okay. You tell me. I'm old. I have no idea. I know. There's something has changed with the web. There's immediate gratification. There's empowerment going on to where everyone now has a voice. I should be able to write directly to the president of an organization. My voice, and I'm not saying that shouldn't be the case. I just don't know. So things are changing.
I think a lot of it has to do with knowing that there's going to be another website, for example, that's not going to put that in my web. Like I'm at the top end of the millennial generation, and if I go to a website and within the first 5 seconds you load an ad or ask me to sign up, I'm gone because I know the very next website is not going to have that ad or that sign up request come up, and I can just read what I want to do.
Yep. And think about that, 5 seconds. And that's actually, we're actually going to hit that in just a minute. It is 3 to 5 seconds. That's the time frame that people are making decisions. So scrolling down, here it is. Tell you what, I'll scroll over that last portion. The cost of poor web performance. So again, this, I think this came from Gartner, but I want you to take a look at this, okay? So again, create a beautiful website, whatever, work of art. Again, web design is not about pretty graphics. Travel sites. 57% of web users abandon a site after 3 seconds. Now a lot of this chapter is devoted to multimedia, and I haven't really spoken about that yet. Multimedia can be great, okay? Tutorials, how-to, things like this. But know that a flash presentation, a video, is going to take some time to download. And if I'm out there searching and I see that wheel spinning and my page is not loading, back, next one. Okay? Now another thing I haven't presented, in contrast to the textbook, again, videos can be very good, but they're not indexed, right? The Google web crawler, Bing, whatever, is not crawling my video to pull out keywords so that people can find it. And again, search engine optimization. How are people finding your site? Search. So if you create a video, you better tag it well. What are the keywords? So we also have to think about mobile friendly. Someone has a limited data plan, and I force a video to download on them. Their data plan is gone. Have I offended them? Are they coming back to my website? Never. So recognize multimedia has its purposes. It is not the end all. And a lot of organizations are doing that now. We need to make a video, more videos, more videos. It's doing absolutely nothing for your search engine optimization and may even be alienating some of your customers.
I feel like normally, like in the 90s and like the 2000s, it was neat to like open up a browser and see that video Java pop up with that type of stuff. But now it's just like, no thanks.
Right, but what were you using too? You were a desktop.
Yeah.
You know, whereas bandwidth, you weren't on a data plan.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really affecting you. So take a look at this further though, about this. So if your site is running slow, company's losing money, okay? Research has found a 1 second increase in load time could cause, okay, so it's statistically proven, a 1 second increase, 11% fewer page views. So people are out of there. 16% decrease in customer satisfaction. And again, millennial generation, if they're not satisfied, they're not coming back. 7% loss in conversions. But to really drive this home, a 1 second decrease in Amazon's page load would cost them $1.6 billion in sales annually. Now, of course, Amazon's total sales are through the roof, but that number's staggering. Okay, so for multimedia, if you see the need to develop multimedia, there are download calculators out there which will show you or predict for you how long it will take to download on certain platforms with certain bandwidth. You know, in a rural area that doesn't have 4G, restricted to 3G, how long is it? You know, and then I look at that town, okay? Is that town comprised mostly of, and who's my target population? Are they younger millennials, whereas greater than 5 to 7 seconds, they're out of there? Or is it someone, you know, say more mature, who really wants the product, who's willing to stay around? So all of these things have to be assessed and go into my web design. And largely they're not. Okay, let's move on to, so how do we do this? Abstract web design. Because there are a lot of things, and there are a lot of just fine points I need to tune. Well, someone came up, and this was heuristic web design. Certain patterns, if you follow them, because you're never going to achieve the optimal design. It's not going to happen. But there's certain things you can do to achieve the best design you can. So let's take a look at the abstract design tenets here. First and foremost, search engine optimization. Again, someone in California is not typing hvcc.edu into the browser's location bar. The only way they're finding us is through search. How are they searching? Well, they're searching using their terms, okay? The words that they use, colloquialisms, whatever, taxonomies. So the organization needs to understand the terminology of the target population. Home and landing page optimization. And none of these elements are treated in isolation. They're all integrated. When someone comes to my site, they better find what they want, okay? And I addressed accessibility from the standpoint of it better render correctly on all platforms and all browsers, but it goes beyond that. They're kind of standards that have evolved. And I can ask, if you go to a page, where do you find the shopping cart? Top right, okay? Don't do anything tricky, okay? Follow convention. Have you ever been on a page where you can't find the shopping cart? And if so, what have you done? That's it. Okay. Home and landing page optimization. It doesn't stop with the home page. Through search, people can land on your site on any page. Okay. Clear navigation, or in web design terms, wayfinding. On a web page, where are you most likely to find navigation? Top or left panel, somewhere there. Okay. Again, don't stray from what is kind of convention these days. Clear value statements. Well, these will vary, okay? But again, some customer is on your website, which is a transaction. They're giving you their time. Why should I do business with this company? Clear value statement. Free and easy returns. Big bold letters across the top. There's my value right there. If I'm trying to purchase something, free and easy returns. Okay, at least my interest is going to be piqued. Other clear value statements, you know, some sites don't need them. CNN, if you're looking for news, you know, ESPN, New York Times, the value's kind of implicit there. Clear and conspicuous privacy statements. You should be able to find this. And it'd be great. It can actually be a component of the clear value statement. We do not share your information with third-party affiliates or anyone. We do not buy or sell your information. Clear value, clear privacy statement. Clear intuitive navigation and wayfinding. There's an adage out there, don't make the users think. Okay, I want everything to be so intuitive, I just know what to do. Now, some organizations can stray from this. If you ever look at Amazon's site, Amazon is a shotgun. You know, here's all this information that we think you need. Boom, throw it up on the screen. But what do people use in Amazon? If you want to find a product in Amazon, search. Okay, so it's kind of convention. Clear and informative process funnels. You want the user to know where they are in the stage of their transaction at all points, right? Many sites will have breadcrumbs across the top, kind of a trail map, step 3 of 4, step 4 or 5. But you can go back to the previous links. And if you go back to a previous link, you better have their information there still, name and address. I have left sites where I was made to re-input my name and address. I didn't want to do it again. So if that's as careless as they are with their web design, do I really trust them in their other facets of their business? No. So if I go back, JavaScript, I better retain name, address, whatever information they've already input. Focus on accessibility. Above the fold analysis and pyramid writing style. Now we're getting into journalism. And this is changing. So above the fold. Above the fold comes from newspapers. Of course, you know, the old days, as much as 15 years ago, you know, there'd be a stack of newspapers. Or in the box, you know, USA Today's boxes, which I haven't seen in forever. You see the top page of the newspaper above the fold. The same applies to websites. Now it's changed, of course, because of mobile computing. So above the fold has become prime real estate. Many times people will not scroll down. And there are two different perspectives here. The textbook will tell you, break up content into several pages. Okay, yeah, because it's all above the fold, I get that. But also, we know the architecture of the web and the HTTP protocol to where if I download one page, even if it's long, I'm downloading it all. It's coming in. The user's not reading that quickly. So say for articles, New York Times for my CISS100.com, I violate that all the time because it comes down all at once so the user can just scroll. He's not waiting for successive pages. So again, you have to understand your audience. You have to understand what the purpose of your site is. So above the fold analysis, again, has become more complex because of mobile computing. Real estate above the fold is prime. Inverted pyramid writing style. And again, this goes hand in hand with the clear value statement, privacy statements. You need to capture the reader's attention. To some extent, that's also home and landing page optimization, right? If I don't see what I want immediately, I'm gone. And that's quite often what people are doing too. So inverted pyramid writing style is that journalistic practice using active verbs, how to capture the reader's attention. It's the headline. It's the headline in the first, sentence that's kind of in a larger font than the rest of the article in a newspaper. And lastly, I put it here twice because it is the most important thing, search engine optimization. So these are the patterns. What they allow us to do, I won't go into all of this because we're going to run out of time here. Capture the essence of the problem, describes the problem, etc. User-centered web design. Okay. This is kind of summarizing what I've presented so far. Plan your site, use storyboarding, understand your audience. Okay, I've gone into this. Allow for easy navigation and wayfinding, color schemes, photo images, things of this nature. Next week, I will show you how to, if I can control this mouse, how to validate your website. So when I'm talking about W3C compliance, World Wide Web Consortium compliance, there are validators out there. Always think security, always think accessibility. Now, what I want to go to next is the web development lifecycle. Now, we have not introduced yet the system development lifecycle, the SDLC. The web development lifecycle and the system development lifecycle are pretty much the same programming lifecycle. What we need to remember is that we need recurrent customer involvement. In systems analysis, I'm going to introduce rapid application development, RAD. And let me give you why we do this first, from another discipline. If you were building a house, right? We have the architect create the blueprint, right? The engineer develop, what are the structural components, or it's being built to code, okay? Bless you. And then, of course, the contractors come in and start building it. What's the cost of change, okay? What's the cost of change if the house is being constructed and suddenly you decide, you know what, we want another bathroom here and less bedroom, okay? Well, if it's already being constructed, okay, there's a cost there. You need to go back to the architect, right? What's that cost? However, what's the cost if you told this to the architect at the outset? No, I want that bedroom a little smaller and a bathroom here. Okay? I now have not built something that now has to be ripped down and changed. The cost of change is much less the earlier in the cycle that we get to it. The only way to minimize this or identify when change has to occur is through customer involvement, right? I'm developing a website for my external stakeholders, for my users. So I want to identify any problems or improvements as early as possible. And the only way to do this is to continually go back to them and say, how's this look? How's this look? How's this look? Okay, so this is rapid application development. It's prototyping. Here's a prototyping. What do you think? Oh, Okay, you like it, you don't like it. I'll change it. I'm doing it in the design phase. Now, sometimes this can't be avoided. Things happen in the environment. The iPad is launched without any announcement, and I have to make accommodations for that. So things do change. But the only way to get a good web design is recurrent customer involvement. Even down once I launch the website, what do people think? Are they having problems? Okay, so the web development lifecycle. I've provided this to really give you a blueprint. It kind of goes beyond the scope of this course. However, in one of the final projects is to implement a LAMP stack in a WordPress instance. Essentially, you're doing everything from the ground up to develop a website. You could very easily, at the conclusion of this course, go out and develop websites for any organization just using this information. But you haven't had a formal web design curriculum, okay, the training. And if you were to just do it ad hoc, you might succeed, but it would likely cost you more money than you would make, okay, because of changes. So what I've provided here is the 7 phases of the web development lifecycle. And they will describe each phase in detail. Okay, so the discovery, exploration, refinement, production, etc. With each phase, okay, I also identify what documents. So you could, again, very easily go out to an organization. They want a website. We're going to do this. Here are the phases. At the conclusion of each phase, you will have a customer analysis document, and they may provide this to you. A business analysis document, and a specification that specifies the website features and functionality. And this will prevent feature creep. This is what I'm going to design for you. Here it is in writing. Here's the contract. Because quite often in web design, you're working with these people and the CEO or someone is out there and say, I saw this really cool feature on Amazon. I want this in my website. Well, yes, Amazon has 100 programmers working on this, right? You need to document what your website will do and what it won't do. So I introduced this just should you decide to contract out, because you will be ready to do this. If you do that final project, you'll see I can take this on. I can start making money right away in website design. Follow this. If you follow the process, and this is, again, a legal contract, you would put this right into the contract, you will not go wrong. So I want to introduce that. I want to let you know that this is here. 5 years from now, you're out working for a company and they decide to take on something. Hopefully this site will still be here. Come back and just check. Okay, if you're contracting someone to do your website for you, and they come at you with a contract that looks, entirely different than what's presented here, you're dealing with a charlatan. So that's all I have for today. Please complete Linux Lab 10 as soon as possible, even though it's easy. There's a lot of reading there. Reread it several times. Okay, that's what I expect. So that's the important content. And see everyone next week.